Let's rewind to a war that doesn't get as much attention, the First Indochina War, fought between 1946 and 1954. It was brutal, complex, and set the stage for the Vietnam War that came right after. But to understand it, we've got to start with colonialism. For decades, Vietnam, along with Laos and Cambodia, was part of French Indochina, basically a group of Southeast Asian countries ruled by France. But during World War II, Japan invaded and took control. When Japan lost in 1945, power in Vietnam suddenly opened up, and that's when the real conflict began. A Vietnamese revolutionary group called the Viet Minh, led by Ho Chi Minh, stepped in. They were anti-colonial, nationalist, and communist. They declared Vietnam's independence in 1945, hoping to be free from any foreign rule. But France had other ideas. They wanted their colony back. So in 1946, fighting broke out, France versus the Viet Minh. At first, it was a conventional war. France had better weapons, more money, and foreign support. The Viet Minh were mostly guerrilla fighters, hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, jungle warfare. But they knew the land, and they had massive support from the local people. By the early 1950s, the war turned into a global Cold War conflict. The United States started giving military aid to France, hoping to stop the spread of communism in Asia. Meanwhile, the Viet Minh received help from China and the Soviet Union. So it wasn't just about Vietnam anymore, it was part of a much bigger fight between East and West. The war dragged on for 8 long years. Villages were bombed, civilians were caught in the crossfire, and both sides suffered massive losses. But the turning point came in 1954, at the Battle of Dien. The French thought they had the upper hand. They built a strong military base in a valley near the Laos border. But the Viet Minh surprised everyone. They surrounded the base, dragged artillery up mountains, and launched a full-scale siege. After 2 months of fighting, the French garrison collapsed. It was one of the most shocking military defeats in modern history. Over 10,000 French soldiers were either killed or captured. France was done. They couldn't hold on anymore. Soon after, peace talks were held in Geneva. The Geneva Accords of 1954 officially ended the war. Vietnam was temporarily divided at the 17th parallel. The north went to the Viet Minh, led by Ho Chi Minh, and the south was controlled by a US-backed government led by NGO Dien. Elections were supposed to be held to reunite the country, but those never happened. So while the First Indochina War ended, the real struggle for Vietnam's future was just beginning. This division led directly into the Vietnam War, which would pull in the US military and dominate global headlines throughout the 1960s and 70s. So why does the First Indochina War matter? Because it was more than just a colonial conflict. It showed how powerful guerrilla tactics could be. It exposed the weaknesses of Western colonial powers. And it marked the start of America's deep involvement in Vietnam, a decision that would cost millions of lives. In the end, the war was a major victory for anti-colonial movements and communist forces in Asia, and a sign that the Cold War wasn't just about nukes and politics. It was also fought in the jungles, villages, and rice fields of places like Vietnam. If you like this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe for more 5-minute history deep dives. Got a war or event you want us to cover next? Drop it in the comments.